with Marcus Head.
Just the other day, taking life for granted, passing time away. I was there for you, you were there for me. Take your time, take your time. We would be together for eternity, together forever. We were so wrong, so wrong. Now I just can't believe that you're gone. I'm so alone, all alone. You never miss a good friend till they're gone, gone. Come on, yeah. Life goes on, and it's not the same.
So without further ado, I want to introduce two big brothers, and now I'm not talking about big in size. I'm talking about big in their hearts and doing big things. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce two brothers. One goes by the name of David Tolliver. The other one goes by Jason Champion. Give it up for Men at Large. What's up, fellas?
What's happening, man? What's happening?
What's happening?
Man, first of all, I appreciate you being here. Before I do anything, let me give a shout out to Candy Fields, who put this together with the introduction and everything. So shout out to Candy and the Candy Show. Please support the Candy Show. Now, first and foremost, brothers, I have to say a few things. First of all, like I said, thanks for being here. It's been a long time since a lot of people have seen you guys. But before we do that, please introduce yourselves. David, please introduce yourself.
Well, like you said, I'm David Tolliver.
All right, I'm sorry. Dave, I'm sorry about that.
No, you good. It's all right. No, that's my first name, David Tolliver. I don't trip. You say, am I government? David. I like when the ladies call me David, though, but Dave Tolliver, Cleveland, Ohio, Men at Large representative. Hello, everyone.
Jason.
So, yeah, my name is Jason Champion, Cleveland, Ohio native, living in Detroit, Michigan now, Motown. And it's a pleasure to be here, man.
All right, cool. Well, definitely appreciate both of you brothers being here. So for the people that don't know, like I said, I'm a big fan of yours, but don't know you back. You started out in the early 90s. Please tell us, how did Men at Large get started?
Well, it started off, I started off working in radio. My uncle / dad was one of the top programmers in the nation. And I was working there overnights while I was in high school. And there was a guy there that was a DJ as well, but he was a singer and songwriter. And he had a concert one night and had an after party at his house. This was 1986. So we went to the after party. Me and him, I'm 16, he's 13. Late night after party at his crib, and Gerald happens to come by. Well, we always rode around with this Casio keyboard. We could tape over the batteries in the back. And everybody was like, sing, 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 sing. And so we sang, and he was like, yo, I'm going to hook y'all up. But we didn't see him again for another 3 years. So, that was when Big Throwdown came out, with Pop, Pop, Pop and Casanova and all that. And so we saw him again. I was coming out of the studio with some guys I was working with back in the day, Johnny O and the Sorcerer Crew. Johnny O is the CEO of Nerd DJs. And I walked out, and he said, yo, I got this idea for 3 big dudes that can sing, dance, cute, the whole nine. And within a few days, we were auditioning for him and Steve Russell for Troop, the Rude Boys, and the whole Levert staff, Treble staff. And a couple days after that, we auditioned for Pops, and I guess Pop gave him the thumbs up. And 1992, May of 1992, 30 years ago this year in May, was the first single, Use Me, on the East West Atlantic Records, Treble Productions, all that. And here we are.
Wow. Gerald Levert. So Jason, tell me, what has Gerald Levert meant to you guys, and just when you guys started out and moving the needle? Because I know he was on stage with you guys a lot. So tell me a little bit about Gerald Levert, the late Gerald Levert, the great Gerald Levert.
Man, there's so many components to that answer. I think to try to shorten it and not take too long, Gerald was the consummate professional. That's the first thing that I learned. But in all of these lessons that I learned them after he was gone. I was too young. I didn't realize it in the moment. All of the nuances and all of the wonderful traits that I was picking up as an artist or as a musician or being in the studio. I really didn't know because I was 18 trying to be famous and sing songs and get the girls and get on stage and so years later after he passed, that I was able to hone my career as a solo artist with the likes of some of my friends Dietrich Haddon, Kirk Franklin, and then when I signed to My Block as a solo artist with Warren Campbell, Erica Campbell, I could hear him in my ear. Things that I didn't even realize that I paid attention to. He was over my shoulder, and one of the things that he was a consummate professional, and he was very meticulous about how he worked. Things that he just wouldn't let it slide. Sometimes as an artist you get lazy, you have a tendency to want to. You're tired, you're ready to go, you let it slide. And so to this day, some of my contemporaries, when I'm working, they get really ticked off with me because I won't let it slide.
Wow.
If it ain't right, it ain't right. And so I got that from Gerald, and then years later being with Kirk Franklin, kind of the same thing, come from that same call. So I had some of the best mentors in music, honestly, to do it. But Gerald, just his stage presence was another thing he taught us. Being on that stage and going to that mic and becoming one with the mic is what he used to say. Him and his father, Eddie, the great Eddie Levert. You got to become one with the mic. So, man, I could go on and on. I miss that guy tremendously, and he's taught us some very valuable lessons. Very valuable. I thank God for that guy, man. Like you said, he was the one that moved the needle for us. No Gerald, no Man at Large.
All right, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, I loved his music, and I never met him, unfortunately, but I felt like I knew him just for a lot of his songs and things like that. And I'm hearing the names that you guys been dropping, Troop and Rude Boys. So I mean, those some old school oldies but goodies. So you guys had some good surroundings around you. So tell me a little about that.
Troop wasn't a part of the Treble camp. They're not out of Cleveland, but I think Joe Little from the Rude Boys and Gerald had a good relationship with Steve Russell, the lead singer from Troop. So they were kind of around, and so those are boys, but I was just making the distinction. They're not part of the Cleveland. They're family, but not part of the Treble. You know what I mean?
I got you. All right. Well, cool. Well, like I said, I don't know if you was listening earlier when I was talking about your music, your song, I'm So Alone, really came to me and came at a time in my life when my grandmother had just passed. So when the song So Alone came out, man, I was like, it really hit me to the point to where I was like, how some music is there right on time when you need it, whether for love, whether for sorrow, whether for pain. I mean, just cleaning up your house. Music does so many things, but man, I just pour my heart out to it, and just that song, just to this day. I mean, it's only two songs I can sing. I can sing that song, and I can sing New Edition, With You All the Way. Those are the only two songs I can sing on key. Let's talk about the music. First of all, you guys are blessed and talented with the music. And it's been 30 years, and you guys are finally getting back together. So tell me, what brought that on, and why so long before we had a chance to hear you guys as Men at Large?
This is the best version, but it continued after Jason went on to serve and go on his missionary trip across the sea. No, after he got called to serve, we did a couple albums, myself and the late great Mr. Edgar Gemini Porter. We lost to he's from Chicago too, from
Chi-Town.
Yeah,
hometown, baby.
4 Inglewood. He'd be like 7-4 Inglewood. And we did a couple things there, but they didn't match to.
It didn't have the polish. It just wasn't as polished.
No, it wasn't. But it worked though, because it kept us working. And if you in the game, every time you introduce something, like what Leonard said, you have to, like, even before all the algorithms came. Every time you introduce something new, that's why I kept doing solo records, doing plays, different stuff like that, because you have to keep reintroducing yourself because there's so many things going on. The reason why we came back this time, because it was time. It was time. It was, and we didn't have any control over it. Back in the day when Jason used to tell me, I think that God wants us to do this. God, well, I'll be like, man, well, all right, you go ahead over there with God, man. I'm going over here to do this. I would say that. And, it almost got us mauled one night. My selfishness of wanting to go and be with the ladies and be glorified. And just, I was a hip hop fanatic and I wanted to hang out with some guys. We almost got jumped by Naughty Culture.
What?
Really just by Tretch and about 30 other dudes. But, now, when you go through life, man, you start to see how you've made it through some things. You've grown, you've learned, and it can only be by the grace of God. He the only one that give you those opportunities. And when he sits down and he tells me, he feels like, this is not about the music. It's bigger than the music. Or, our community, people are in peril. There's no love, and love used to be at the forefront of the family. And that's what we bring it back to the table. Love, communication, trust, loyalty, the thirst to be in love, the want to be in love, and not be ashamed of it. So many cats want to have, notches in their belt, but not express true feelings. We wanted notches and we wanted love when we was growing up. We wanted both. You know what I'm saying? These cats. So I think he probably could put it more eloquent. But when we finished the very first song we recorded on Gerald Levert's birthday in July 13th, 2020, he was like, I felt Gerald's spirit in the building. And, God is telling me that this, that, and the third. And I said, I believe you. And the path that we've been walking has it's been a good path so far. It's been slow. Now I want to say it's slow because it's moving faster than it has in a long time. But we on a good. It's a good thing happening right now. It all started from during the pandemic. Him and I did a Facebook Live. I was doing something called the Dave Tolliver Show, and on Instagram. And he got on there. What was only supposed to be like 30, 40 minutes turned into about 3 hours. Everybody was ready. So like 3 months later, April, May, June, July. 4 months later, we got in the studio and created that magical piece of art that you guys are streaming and downloading right now. Love Benefits.
But like I said, you guys bringing that new flavor and everything else. So how is it, Jason, how is it different from when you used to do it back in the day to now when you spring forward? As you know, the music industry has changed and everything else. So how challenging was it, or what different was it with you guys that you went and, with the new music?
Back then, it was the landscape was different musically. Back then, we were different because we were younger. We were much smaller, we big guys, but back then, when you're 18 and 20, we were very mobile. I mean, we're mobile now, but, you get 50 and, things start changing. I think the biggest difference, though, there's a movie that I love called Cinderella Man. And in the Cinderella Man, what's my man's name? They played in The Gladiator. What's his name?
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe plays a boxer by the name of Broadus. I believe his name is Jack Broadus or something like that. Down on his luck, fighting in some terrible, terrible conditions, winning fights to putting food on the table, and he breaks his hand and has to go get a job down at the dock where he has to work his other hand because his other one is broken. And as God would have it, he has a chance to strengthen that hand and strengthen the other hand as well because he was more lenient on the left hand because he broke his right. And so one day he had to go to the welfare office and get a handout because his family was struggling. And at the end of the movie, he took the money back to the welfare office because he had triumphed once again, became the champion, and nobody thought this was a long shot. They thought he would get dusted by this heavyweight champion. Takes the money back to the welfare office, and he's on a press conference, and somebody asked him about it. He used that welfare money so he could get milk for his family, for his children, and other things, but milk was the focal point. They said, well, why did you take the money back? He said, I believe we live in a country we're fortunate enough to be able to get those handouts and those things when we need it. But now that I'm back in a place where I don't need it, I feel like we should give back. And he said, well, what are you fighting for then? He said, I'm fighting for milk money. He wasn't really fighting for milk money, but what he was saying was his priorities, after having gone through that tragedy, his priorities were very different. Dave and I, our priorities, the reason why we go on that stage and make these records is it's night and day. It's as far as the East is from the West. We wanted to be famous. We wanted to make great music, no doubt. We wanted the ladies. But now we really want to infuse this culture and this world at whatever level we can with, like Dave said earlier, love, life, the pursuit of all things healthy relationally, and put love and good vibes back into homes, because it's a lot of toxicity, it's a lot of evil and a lot of hurt. And we want to do our part to, share the love. When you turn on the radio, it's nice to hear a song about telling them, a man telling his woman he misses her, or he loves her, versus let me get that wop, we too old for that. That's we too old for that, man.
Yeah, you're right, brother. It's just the good music is not out there, and you don't see a lot of duels, out there, anymore. And you don't see a lot of groups out there anymore as well. Now, I saw that you guys had a few dates that you guys are doing, and tell us about the tour and tell us about what you guys are going. And is it just the two of you guys, or you guys hooked up with a couple of people?
Some of the shows are just us. Like we just got booked for Chicago December 9th. I don't know the exact venue, but it's a definite.
And the last time we was in Chicago, even though it was many years ago, but the last time we were there, I heard the place is still on fire. Literally, I think it burned out.
Okay. Riviera. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We've been
Cool.
there after that. Us together, we've been there a couple. We did a couple of more shows besides that there. But this November 25th in Elkhart with Willie Clayton. We just did Seattle and Portland with Keith Washington and Jam and Jay Lamont. We had a show earlier this year with Rude Boys, Rough Ends, and Troop. That's a package that they're pushing. We got some other things on the table. We've been with Tony Terry. They tend to always want to put us with the Rude Boys because that's our camp, that's our family. Right. But we'll perform with anybody, and we open the dates right now. The Minute Large at gmail.com. You can hit us up. We send you to our people, SNF or New Image, and they'll get you right together. You got them pockets right. We on the docket that night.
I like that. Now let me ask you guys a question. So since you guys have, you've been in the, in the game, you've been in and out, but you still been relevant. And like I said, people recognize it because you're big, but also because you guys are, how can I put it? You guys are real. Like I said, the first time I talked to you, Dave, I was like, wow, this brother is real. I enjoyed the conversation with you, and, it was real love. And Jason, I see that you're really passionate. So I know you guys care a lot about the business. So give me some of the new artists that's out right now who you think would have lasted in the early 90s, 2000s that's doing anything right now.
For me, man, PJ Morton. PJ Morton is a monster. I think her probably would have been able to make it back then just because she's so self-contained. She can do it all.
Yeah.
Lucky Day, yeah, man. Yeah, Lucky Day is a monster.
Kevin Ross.
Ooh, Kevin Ross is a monster.
and honestly, I think you would have to say Chris Brown. Chris Brown came right on the cusp of the end of that.
He came at the end of the 90s era. Yeah.
He would definitely be. They put out so much product, and that's where we're not. That's why we don't keep up. They put out so much stuff. All these young artists, they have so much stuff that within 5 years they got more than we put out in 30 years. It's and it's not really about the quality; it's about the quantity now. Even though some of these guys are making some cool records, but they doing so much they get stalled. Like I heard Chris Brown complaining about his sales, and then I heard Tank complaining about his sales. Well, I listened to both of the albums, and Chris Brown, I think he went from one extreme to the next and jumped immediately into an AC format album from the teeny, but the CHR that quick. And I think that kind of threw his fans off, so to speak. Tank He just keep making the same record over and over again with the same type of lyrics, the same tempo, the same beat patterns. It's nothing new about what he's doing. It's nothing fresh. And I think people are getting, because he's so talented, I don't think that he reaches far enough into his bag to please his fan base, because they will get tired of you, and because there's so many copycats, they'll go and they'll start following them, and then your stuff will just be on the shelf. You know what I mean? They'll come to your shows.
I got you.
But they're not gonna buy the stuff though. I don't think that's what.
Let me touch on something that you just said about how people just putting content out, because it's so easy to put things out because everybody's got a producing set, everybody's got a media. So tell me, how has media changed for you guys? Because when you guys came out, there wasn't Twitter, there wasn't Facebook, there wasn't TikTok. So how did you have to adapt to the way the media is, puts out music, and how you guys, because I heard that people, you guys make your money by touring. Plain and simple, as far as the big money and everything else that goes personally to you guys. So how has the new media thing changed for you, and how easy or how hard was it for you to adjust to it?
I think both of us are pretty intelligent, highly intelligent, and I don't say that arrogantly. So, adapting, surviving, and kind of going along with the times, we're pretty adaptable to those kinds of things. So in that regard, simple. I think the challenge is, and I'm saying this carefully, we're not lazy. We're hustlers by nature. Matter of fact, I learned how to be a hustler from, watching this cat. But what you have to do to remain relevant, the time that you have to put into being on social media, it's the time. A lot of time, and we're fathers, we're husbands, we're artists, we're touring, we're taking care of life. And literally, you got to spend 8 hours a day on social media, from what I'm looking at, to really make a difference. And it's just the time that you have to put in. We do our very best, and we're going to have to do better because we're making music. But 8 hours a day, man, whew, that's rough.
I got you. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, and I agree with him totally. I wish to God that we could go back to getting up at 4, going to a 6:30 flight, having lunch or breakfast with a PD, going to all the mom and pop record stores, performing at night, doing the after party, getting up at 4:30 the next day, 6:30 flight. I wish we could get back to that. If social media, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if social media went out today. It went, like when Facebook went out, and that day when I think that the Mark Zuckerberg's girlfriend got that text message or whatever, it did something with it. Man, listen, I love it for how easy it makes. I say technology is the thriller and the killer. Technology is the thriller because it allows people to do, say, be whatever they want to do without contradiction in most cases. But what it has done is take away from the passion of people, of being the passion of the art form, the passion of the hard work, and feeling the reciprocity from the hard work you put into it. Now you just hit a button and boom. It's easy. That's dope. But I mean, I honestly would prefer, Jay, we got 30 dates. We got to do a promotional tour. It ain't no money, but they go, but from those promotional dates, we got paid dates right behind them, or right into them. And those are the fun times. I mean, I think us touring and shaking hands and kissing babies and ladies. And we had a chance to tour with Bill Clinton to all the black colleges when he, you caught that, right? I slipped it in. With Bill Clinton when he was running for president, it was us, Yolanda Adams, and the Rude Boys. Man, people don't forget those times.
No.
That's why we're able to stay, because it was a physical touch of being there, hand to hand, meet and greets, record stores, autograph signings. Like, that's why these artists get forgotten so quick. Like, you think 30 or 40 years from now, they're going to be playing the same stuff. They still playing the guys from our era and before stuff. They still playing some of the stuff in heavy rotation. That's because how the stations are diced up now, but it's because we took time and we put hard work into it. And it's the difference between going to some new millennial girl who microwave everything on Sunday and invited you over, as opposed to going to your grandmother's house on Sunday and you got this huge spread you're gonna be like this afterwards. You leave your girl's house. Yeah, I'm gonna just stop by Taco Bell real quick on the way before we go to the hotel. You good? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. It's a personal question, but I want to ask a question. So when you first started out in the business, you was excited, you was happy, and it was like whatever. You just give me some money and put me on TV or put me on tour. So now that you are actually fathers, businessmen, doing your things, do you guys still own your rights to the music you did back in the day, like I'm So Alone and everything else, opposed to now? What's different now? You guys own your masters and your songs and your music and things like that.
We own them now. Back then we didn't own them, but we own them now.
So you got the rights for all your royalties for everything.
Not the old stuff, but the new stuff.
The new stuff. Okay.
That's the next step. They passed those new laws, so we own it. We got the team and everybody looking on it to make it do what it do, because the crossroad for me with this whole thing is, Gerald's not alive now. So now to go through everything that we need to go through to get things the way that they should be, and it's not saying that things were done illegally or wrong, but that was the nature of the business. You dig what I'm saying? Nobody really owned. There was very few artists in the history of music that started off owning their situation,
right?
Unless it came in by, you know what I mean. So it would be a very it's gonna have to be some overturning of this and going into some papers of this and some legacy, So it's something that we're doing. We're in the process of it now. So it's talking about the things that we have right now and the things we've done solo wise. Yes, we definitely eat that up.
Now, out of all your music and your new music, do you have any videos that's out right now? And Jason, actually, I want to talk to you in a second about. And brother, I'm gonna say something, brother. You are that big, sexy, and brother. You know how to, for a big man, you know how to wear some suspenders, brother. I'm finna give you that. You know how to wear some suspenders, brother.
Maybe that's how we should dress on stage. We should wear white beaters.
Now, I don't know about them white beaters. Y'all gonna look like big gallons of milk up there. But I'm talking about.
Are you ready? Really? Thanks for coming. Are you ready? It's almost time. Oh, he's coming back, y'all, like a thief in the night. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, now it may be morning, night or noon.
So let's talk about how you turned from R&B over into gospel, and what was the reason why you did it?
God said that in the beginning, Jason Champion shall always be a leader of my work. He will go out and... No, go ahead.
Was that the Bush that was talking to you?
It was the burning.
When God called me out of Mid Large, it wasn't to go make records. It was to work on my character. It was to grow as a man and to establish my relationship with him. And the records didn't come until 2007. I quit the group in 96. So it took 11 years, 1996. It took 11 years, man, for God to give me an opportunity to go do solo music. I had no interest in doing solo records, none, zero. I really still don't.
I always tell him that he missed out on so much money, but like it wasn't about that. He his voice, like everybody wanted to work with me, but they really wanted to work with him because he had the voice. When we would go to New York and different places, they'd be like, who the best? Is it Jason or is it Wanye? Mike Biv and Gerald was always going back and forth about that when we would hang out and stuff like that. And it was true. It was him. It was Jason, Buddy Banks from the Rude Boys, Dino from H-Town.
You got to put David Hollister in there too. I mean, you got to put David Hollister in there.
So when the opportunity came to make my solo record, you know, it was, I didn't leave R&B to go do gospel is what I'm saying. And when the opportunity presented itself, I was, it was sort of I had to, because I didn't have anything else that I was doing. I had just got fired from Kirk Franklin. You know, he had downsized. There was too many of us. He was traveling with 20 people, and he had to cut that in half.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was one of the ones that got cut. So when they came to me about the solo record, I was like, I guess I got to. I didn't want to. I really didn't. But I'm glad that I did. And Are You Ready, Man, believe it or not, is a song that I wrote 25 years ago. And it didn't sound like the video you saw. It was more of a Commodore's Night Shift kind of record. But when I got with Warren one day, he said, "Hey man, that song that you was singing," he said, "Let's do something with that." He said, "I got this idea, man. Let's do some. I want you to go in there," and he did a track for it. He said, "I want you," and I hadn't heard it. He said, "I'm gonna play this. I want you to go in there singing how you think Sam Cooke." You know, and I'm a Sam Cooke guy, so one take went in there. Are you ready? Long time, boys coming back on. That was it. It was a done deal.
I loved it. I loved how you first started out when I was watching the video. You started out with a piece of chicken, and then everybody at the table, and then you had your face. You remember like the clumps, like you had your face, like you was sitting down, you was over here, Then you came and was like, "Are y'all ready?" He was like,
yeah.
He's like, really? But no, brother, that song, you took it from the old school that you was going to do, but you added the new school. But I still see some of that old school flavor with you playing the guitar and everything else like that. So, man, I really love that. I really love that video, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
The big sexy in the suspenders. That's the focal point. Stay there.
You know what's funny that I picked up? Like,
you're an ass.
Jason is like the sit back, laid back dude that's reading his Bible, sitting down in church. And Dave is the person that's all the way in the back trying to holler at the girls. That the usher got to keep grabbing his ear, picture him, and everything else like that. So how was it with you guys? Because y'all definitely are different personalities. So how was it with y'all on the road and everything else? Because David over here doing his thing, and I know you doing your thing. Don't accept like you look like that shy brother, but you got some skeletons too now.
Absolutely.
He got a bar. His name is Bones.
He got Jurassic Park in his closet.
No, I was gonna call him and ask him. I was like, the last couple things we've been on, he's been like, that he been real laid back and reserved. So he transitioning somewhere. He doing his thing. But me on the interviews, I'm always live and just crazy. And
I got you. All right, guys, real quick, I just wanted to ask you guys, what I do is I like to do a segment of get to know you. So I want to ask you guys a few questions just so people can get to know you guys and everything else like that. So I'm just going to ask you some questions and just give me one answer. All right? So, favorite cereal?
Hamburgers.
Look at you. Hamburgers in the cereal. Favorite cereal?
That's way too hard, man. What the fudge? I like Raisin Bran. I do like Raisin Bran a lot. I've learned to like it without sugar too, like just almond milk and right out the box. It's really good.
All right. Michael Jackson or Prince?
Oh,
Michael Jackson. But that's not fair, but Michael Jackson. How about both?
It's a tie.
When you first got your big first check, what did you put it on? What did you buy?
Yeah, I think I ain't buy nothing.
We bought that 5,001 gear. We both had leather Cleveland Indians jerseys. That's what we spent that money on.
Wait. Y'all first big check, y'all got some jerseys?
we got custom leather from this company called 5001 in New York, and they was the hot clothing company at the time. And we got custom Cleveland Indians jersey. I got a custom Kevin Garnett Minnesota Timberwolves basketball jersey.
So y'all big sports paraphernalia people.
Yeah.
A little bit.
All right. So my last question for you is, it's a two-part question. the first question is, what would you tell your younger self at 17, 18 when you first started that you know now? And what advice would you give to not only new artists that's coming out, but to people that have been gone for a while to come back like you guys have coming on strong?
I would tell my younger self that although food can make you feel good and it can make you, whatever's wrong, food will, for the moment, it will. But I would definitely tell my younger self to have a better relationship with food. Like, portion controls back then were out of control, man.
And how about advice for the artist?
Be authentic, be you, don't be afraid to stand firm on, just because it doesn't look like there's somebody that looks like you in the industry right now. Don't go chasing a formula. Be who you really are, because authenticity will, I believe, always win in the end.
All right, cool. And Dave, same question.
For me, I would tell my younger self, you should have listened to your grandmother. She told you 15 minutes of pleasure is worth a lifetime of pain. To this day, I'm paying for something that ain't mine that the courts won't let me out of. That's the first thing I've told you. I can't say that food, because I'm a picky eater and I like all the healthy stuff. I just would, tell myself to get on a better schedule, because that's my biggest problem is, but I do everything. But that just make wiser decisions when it comes to to the women, because I probably made a couple bad decisions.
And what advice would you give? I like when he said 15 minutes. Most people say 5 minutes of pleasure. And he went and bumped himself up in 15 minutes. So I like that.
Oh, the big fella's gonna give you 15 minutes. Don't let the size fool you. We gonna give you. Yeah, we gonna give you way more than 5 minutes now. I'm gonna tell you.
You say you gonna give him a morning sweat, huh?
King. And finally, for the new artists, man, just authenticity, man. Don't be afraid to be yourself. And I say this all the time. We all have to drive on the same highway, but we don't all have to drive the same car. Be you, man.
Yeah. All right. I like that.
And we don't have to drive in the same lane. You could drive far left and I can be far right.
Steve Harvey told me one time, you got to drop people off to get where you got to go. And I always remembered that. So tell everybody where they can reach you guys and the media platforms. And like I said, you already talked about the tour and everything else.
At the strip club, we there every day.
Yo, you can reach us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at The Men at Large, at The Men at Large, at The Men at Large, MENATLARGE.
Hey, man, brothers, much love, much success. And like I said, I appreciate you guys doing this. Definitely, I'm going to put y'all in the movie, man. I'm going to put y'all in the movie doing a cameo. But brothers, I appreciate your time. You guys are incredible, and I appreciate it, because at first I was just going to do just one of you guys and then do another you guys later. So I'm glad I was able to bring both of you on, because even though y'all, are definitely hot and water, oil and vinegar, one thing I can tell is y'all got love for each other, and I can see how it works. I can see how it works.
Mad love.
Hey, man, unequivocally. And his new name is Sexy Suspender Sammy.